Hello, everybody. I just am popping up here kind of in an impromptu fashion because I wanted to kind of test out this new software I have for a upcoming live stream for Record Store Day. So it's kind of a marathon every Record Store Day. What do we stream from? What is it? 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. So an 11-hour stream, and then a little bit before and even a couple minutes after. So it comes out to a little over 11 hours of a live stream. So I kind of wanted to get this all squared away, just kind of make sure everything is running smooth, and get prepped. You know, Record Store Day is upon us, and I think this is going to be the single busiest day in the in-groove history. It's a big list, and there's a lot of killer titles on it. I've already started getting things in. I've gotten maybe about 20 titles so far. So it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. Okay. So Record Store Day, what have we gotten so far? We've gotten Dada in. I've gotten some of the jazz titles. I got the Nathan Davis in. Some of the esoteric stuff. The Better Than Ezra came in. It has been an enormous allocation this year compared to years past. And I can kind of give you guys, I think this might be a good time to kind of give you guys the allocation ahead of time. So for you guys who don't know, an allocation is essentially, with Record Store Day, you order whatever you want. You order a gazillion of a title, and then they allocate you. But typically what they do is they do it in a percentage basis. I don't know if anybody's ever tried ordering like 100,000 of something, and then even a percentage would give them still most of it. I don't think that happens. But the allocations this year were pretty nuts. And I've got them here on my email. So this is the second round of allocations. So this is the stuff. So this came from the 18th, right? So this is from the 18th. The second round of allocations, not even the first round. This is the there's stuff that's allocated beyond this. But this is kind of the stuff. Let me see. This is stuff so far that has been allocated, meaning I have ordered it and less than what I ordered is going to come. The allocation list is huge, and it's even bigger than this, I think. I feel like I've gotten a second version of this list. But let me run over it so far with you. Now, for instance, I ordered 100 copies, I think, of Dada, and I got either 59 or 64. So you got to figure the distributors took in orders for X amount of copies, and then in order to meet demand, they had to whack everybody's order by 40%, 40-ish percent. So that's kind of how the allocations are handled. But this is all the allocations that I've gotten so far. Now, I haven't gotten these items yet, but these are the allocations so far. Titles that you can expect to be in demand because they're being over-ordered for production. Air, the Beck and George Harrison, Blur, Brittany Howard, Carcass, Carla Thomas, Celia Cruz, Willie Collin, both Charlie XCXs, Chervises, Collective Soul, Count Basie and his orchestra, David Bowie, Dokken, Dolores O'Riordan, lead singer of Cranberries, Duran Duran, Earth, Elton John, Fleetwood Mac, Francis Hardy, Geddy Lee, the George Harrison All Things Must Pass Zoetrope box set, allocated. Where am I at? Jerry Mulligan, Thelonious Monk, Gorillaz, both Grateful Deads, Jethro Tull, John and Yoko, Elephant Memory. Allocated. All three John Williams Harry Potters, Johnny Marr, Joni Mitchell, Keith Richards and the Expensive Winos, Kelsia Ballerini, Klaus Dolginger, and Giorgio Moroder, The Never-Ending Story. It's a good one. Lalome, Levitation Room, Liam Gallagher, Leon LaHarvis, Little Uzi Vert, Metal Machine Music from Lou Reed is being allocated. Apparently, people cannot get enough of Metal Machine Music. Crazy. Morphine, Motorhead, Olivia Dean, Omar Apollo, OMD, Papa Roach, Party Next Door, Passengers, Patrick Doyle, Peter Gabriel, Peter Tosh, Pharoah Sanders, Prince, Queen, Ramones, Saxon, Scott Weiland, Shakira, Sly and the Family Stone, Stone Temple Pilots, Son-O, Sweet, T-Rex, Talking Heads, Terrorizer, P-52s, The Cure, The Dare, The Doors, The Jesus Lizard, The Rembrandts, The Replacements, The Veronica, Thelonious Monk, Thievery Corporation, Toad and Wet Sprocket, Todd Rundgren, Tori Amos, The Virgin Suicides, The Jazz Dispensary, Jazz Impressions of a Boy Named Charlie Brown, The Alternate Takes, and The Wu-Tang. But, what is this, the 30th? I actually have gotten another email. Let's see if I updated it. So this was a supplemental allocation list. Some of this stuff is duplicated, but this is an allocation above and beyond. And I think most of these titles are duplicated, except for Post Malone has been added, Wicked, Taylor Swift, BB Doobie, and Gracie Abrams. I don't know if I mentioned that already. The rest of this stuff, Fleetwood Mac, Doors, Carcass, Prince, Live at the Grand Slam, Pharoah Sanders, allocated. So yeah, that's the news so far. So it's going to be a pretty hot record store day, just going by the sense and scale of how much stuff is being allocated. It's crazy. All right, let's take a look at some questions here. I'll answer some questions. Like I said, I'm going to do a short live stream, give you guys a little bit of update. Why is this still on the screen? Let's see. I'm playing around, guys, here. How do I get the comments back on the screen? Nope. What the hell is going on here? I know. See, it's so much easier if I had somebody here to do a live stream with, but in the meantime, you guys have to kind of just watch me try to figure out what the hell I'm doing. So I don't know. Can you guys see that comment, the Steve Remerant comment? I feel like that's actually from the last live stream. I don't know if you're actually seeing that on the screen. I did a standalone video. Vinyl Record Info kind of asked... oh, there we go. Figured it out. Vinyl Record Info asked, is there anything at the top of your want list? Talking Heads, The Doors, the Rolling Stones, which I think is going to be huge. Oddly enough, I don't know why that's not on the allocation list. I ordered a ton of them. I don't think I'm going to be wrong on this, but the fact that it is an all analog cut from original master tape, record store day title, I really think that is... I think that's going to sneak in there as being a big deal in the future. Let's see. We got a lot of people asking about Paranoid. I have not gotten a copy because I didn't order it in time. I was working. Nothing is really sold out lately, and I figured that people weren't going to be in a huge rush to get Paranoid, just knowing the fact that, like the self-titled album, once it was out of stock, once they ran out of the initial 5,000, they just kept making more and more and more. That was not the case. They still sold out. I'm going to have to wait for one of those subsequent mini represses, which I'm sure will come. Mark Harris wants to know, what shampoo do you use? I actually do use shampoo, but I don't... It comes in a brown bottle. I don't really know. But I do have hair, just not, you know, on top of my head anymore. Not by choice. Not by choice. Okay. How am I... I don't know yet. I don't know yet. You know, a lot of things is, you know, are work dependent. When can I get off? What the circumstances are. So, yeah. I actually... I'm going to know because I only have my box set. And once I get the standalone pieces of the LA Woman, I will probably sprinkle some of those Doors self-titled in to essentially my play box for the store. It's essentially a box of records when I demo gear, you know, and I try to pick some of the better sounding records. So yeah. I don't foresee it being a sellout. I feel like that's something, unlike the 50th anniversary Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon box set, which was super intricate. I feel like this is going to be more along the lines of the Animals remix. I feel like this is something that is going to be in print for quite some time. What's up, Weed from Albuquerque? Oh, that's the SU. I've got it in the sound room. I listen to it a lot. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Blew me away. I wasn't nuts about the theory of the digitization of the signal stream, the way that thing operates. You know, it essentially takes your incoming signal, it digitizes it, everything that it's going to do, it does in the digital domain. But the sonics of that thing are mind-boggling good, and everybody that comes into the sound room and hears that thing is blown away how good that thing sounds. I've had it hooked up to quite a few sets of speakers, a couple of different focals, MoFi SourcePoint 888s. I've had it hooked up to the Yamaha 5000 speakers. I've had it hooked up to their own speakers. Just Warptails. I mean, it's sat in kind of the main position, and I've ran a lot of speakers through it over time. And it's unbelievably good. And the best thing I think on that is the phono stage. The phono stage is absolutely dynamite, and I wish they would make a standalone phono stage essentially using that technology. All right. It's funny how everybody's all... The reviews have been good for the Paranoid release. What I find mind-boggling is with the self-titled, I came out and said that it's definitive. It's the one to own. And everybody who seemed to own a Vertigo was like, nope, the Vertigo is the best. And it seems like where there's not a really high-priced British pressing of this record like there is the self-titled, everybody is very on board with getting behind this particular version, which is kind of perplexing. I feel like if they do master, it's going to be the exact same thing. People are going to be like, oh no, the Vertigo. But yeah, yes, I have heard Riga. I am a Riga dealer, as Rick said. Let's see. I don't know if I can see myself doing a shootout of a Stooges record. I mean, there's records I've got an immense amount of copies of that I should do a shootout of, but I just haven't. Sex Pistols brings... You know, you do a shootout of that type of record, and the very first thing people say is, what the hell is this guy on doing an audiophile shootout of a low-grade recording of a punk album? And I kind of see that, but who knows? Maybe it's something I do in the past. Same thing with this in the future. Same thing with the Pistols. Same thing with the Stooges. Tango in the Night was recalled. I guess there was faulty mastering on one of the 4 sides. I think side 1. And I think they recalled it or essentially said, hey, we'll get this corrected and send you the correct disc. I don't even know if it was much of a recall. More of a, hey, we apologize. They didn't send out any more. And subsequently, they decided to just recut it, which is nice because they have their own mastering facility. They have their own pressing plant. They were actually able to turn it around relatively quick. This was something that happened during the height of COVID, this would have been a 1.5 year long turnaround to get this fixed. But it seems like it was fixed in less than 2 months. They got Mirage out. Unfortunately, I haven't listened to Mirage yet. It's not... Mirage is probably my least favorite Fleetwood Mac, Lindsey Buckingham era record. So I've just not been in a huge hurry to listen to it. CCR box is great. I've got, the original. It's essentially a repress of an existing box set. But, I'd be curious on this Fleetwood Mac. At one point in time, hopefully I can get the defective side A to see how bad it sounds. It's funny because it seems like from what I've heard, a lot of people haven't, didn't even notice it the first go around. Let's see. I mean, when it comes to Record Store Day, how do I think the Doors release? The Doors sell out every single year. Now, even things like Bakersfield, which was a concert that everybody didn't expect anything of, they didn't expect much of it because everybody knew that, the big Doors fans knew that it was kind of a historically poorly recorded show, but historic at the same time. So it still sold out. Things that have done well, or things that have been better sonically, like for instance, Detroit, I mean, they sold out much quicker, but the Doors are going to sell out no matter what. No high end on side one. Drop my cap. Let's see. Somebody was actually mentioning an anthology update to me, but I don't know. They're pretty good at keeping a secret. You got to think that Mono 64 box set they did, the Capitol box, nobody had a clue about that. I hear a lot of rumors and I hear a lot of things, and I heard nothing on that. So, yeah. Now, I will say, so for Record Store Day, going back to the Doors, every Doors title, I think, has made it to day 2. So after Record Store Day, everything that doesn't sell, we do a live stream, so you can kind of keep track of what we have. We answer questions during the live stream. But everything that has not sold on day 1 goes to day 2, 6 o'clock Arizona time. 6 in the morning, which is it's 8 o'clock Eastern time. It depends on the time change, but 8 o'clock Eastern time, everything that hasn't sold in store the previous day, Record Store Day, goes online and we sell it on the website. And the Doors have always made it to day 2. Have you noticed any major yeah, people are definitely changing their buying habits. There's still a lot of people getting into vinyl. There was a point in time people were getting out of vinyl. I noticed it more around 2003, a little into 2004, maybe the beginning of 2004. But for the most part, I'm not seeing any exodus. The people that got into it during COVID because there was nothing better to do, I'm not seeing them exit the market anymore like I did. 2023 was the big year for that. But I'm trying to figure out how to uncheck this comment. And I'm not seeing the mass exodus anymore. But at the same time, we're getting new people in, which is good. Records are still selling, which is good, but you're not getting the people fleeing and you're not getting the feverish buying. Look at me with the Paranoid. A year ago, like when it came to the first Black Sabbath, I was on there logging in. The minute I heard it, I was buying it. But this one, it wasn't that big a deal. And I knew I would be able to get it later on when I went home. I was busy at work and I didn't think much of it. Now, hindsight, I wasn't able to get it. But I think that's more along the lines just because a lot of people are still caught up in the hype. They don't realize that there's time. And even if you don't get the one worth that number to 5,000, you're going to get the second pressing, which is really the first pressing. Because if you look at the Black Sabbath, it's the non-numbered pressing, but not the first or second pressing. It's just the non-numbered, because if you look at the first run of the self-titled, they pressed them simultaneously because people were getting defective copies and getting unnumbered copies right from the jump. Like they had them in their warehouse ready to go. So people aren't as hyped up and they're not buying 2, 3, 4, 5 of an item anymore. Like those days are over. Let's see. He has actually said that these things are 5, 6, 7 years I've been hearing this. Don't get excited because this isn't news. This is something that for years they've been saying. It's ready to go. It's mastered. It's ready to go. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but when you wait 6, 7 years and you keep hearing the same crap, we're getting Tool, Anema's getting reissued, yeah, I'm sure it'll happen, but I'm just not holding my breath because it might be 5 years from now. What did we get from the UK RSD list. I want to say we got Thin Lizzy in already, and I noticed that big UK RSD sticker on it. So it used to be when Record Store Day first got started, you really didn't see any crossover. You know, there was some Pink Floyd releases that I would have loved to got from Record Store Day UK that never came. But yeah. Let's see. It's funny mentioning the folk. That's what I had the Technics SU1000 hooked up to. They're great. Sopras are great. I've got a pair of Sopa 3s at the store. They were in the main listening position, but I got a pair of Utopias, and that's what's there now. I did a standalone video titled 10 jazz albums for people who don't like jazz, or something to get started by. Search the YouTube channel. I give you 10 records. I start in, I give you 10 records. I give you a detail why. And I kind of pinpoint it like, look, if you like rock, you might like this. If you like hip hop, you might like this. Watch that video. There's a lot of great choices on it. And I think it's a good transition. There's a lot of good transition albums in there. Yeah, you would think so, but we were talking, I mean, they could have did it for the 25th anniversary too, because they were talking about it back then. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the outtakes. I don't know if you guys remember, they were supposed to do, and it brings me back to this because LA Woman is my favorite album, right? You might know that. So it brings me back to the fact that once upon a time they talked about releasing like this giant, massive box set with every single take, every single thing they had for LA Woman, and then it just never happened. What the hell happened to that? But I like the idea of getting the outtakes and stuff of that nature, you know what I mean? On vinyl would be nice. No, if you forward back to the beginning of the video, I mentioned that they are both allocated, but they haven't. The only thing I know what I'm being allocated on is the stuff that's already shipped. And a lot of stuff hasn't shipped yet, and it's not going to ship until probably sometime later on this week. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good tables at that price point. The P2 is really good. There's the new Project Carbon. It's a little shy of that, is really good. You can go up a couple $100. Get the Technics 1500 is a fantastic table. Comes with an Ortofon 2M Red. You get that coreless, cogless direct drive. I mean, there's a lot of great tables in that. You're kind of like straddling a P2 and a P3 at that price point. Yeah, that Whatnot was a little bit crazy. We had a lot going on during that Whatnot. It was wild. That was, what did we do? 200 items, and we did it kind of in rapid fire. 200 items, 300, 400 people watching that stream. It was nuts. I really dig, too, speaking of Record Store Day Talking Heads stuff, which I mentioned earlier, I really dig all this Talking Heads live stuff they're releasing. Because they record, they did a couple of live albums at the beginning of their career, and they recorded for those live albums a decent amount of shows. And now we're starting to get all those shows, and it's fantastic. I don't know what the thought process was on just finally doing it now, but yeah, fantastic. I mean, I know this sounds a little jaded because I'm a Technics dealer and not a Mac dealer, but I think that Technics is a better sounding integrated. It's very possible that's one of the best, if not best, integrated I've ever heard. Off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever heard a better sounding integrated unit. It's that good. And it, like I said, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't plan on getting that thing when it came out, but part of my deal with Technics was to floor their entire line. So when I got that thing, I was kind of like hemming and hawing, like, oh, the price I'm paying for this thing. This is not, no one's going to want this. This is crap. This was just, I hadn't heard it, didn't know anything about it other than how it kind of functioned. And then when I plugged it in and got it going and set up the record, I was just like, holy cow, this is This is fantastic. And like I said, for a vinyl enthusiast, the phono stage is mind-boggling good. It is an unbelievable phono stage because essentially the way the record or the receiver calibrates the phono stage based off of the turntable, the cartridge. You play a test disc that plays test tones, and it sets everything internally on the phono side via that calibration record. It's genius. It needs to be standalone. So we'll see. But as far as an integrated goes, I think it's probably the best integrated I've ever heard. From memory, it's the best integrated I've ever heard, sound-wise. It's fantastic. All the Sinatra on Capitol is fantastic. I mean, if you're just getting into Sinatra, though, I might start with like Sinatra at the Sands, because that's such a fun record, and you can kind of get a flavor of Frank. He's live. He's having a good time. What's up, Blake? Miniature live stream we're doing here. This is going to be a very short-lived live stream. We're doing this live stream specifically only to test this new software I have for the upcoming 11-hour plus marathon Record Store Day stream. So I just figured I'd pop on here, do an impromptu live stream, and that was it. Rhino really has done a fantastic job. I don't agree with the way they do a lot of things. The Rhino Hi-Fi series is just a complete mess as far as the shipping was a disaster. What they decide to release to record stores versus what they keep for themselves is like a mystery. You have no clue. I thought we were going to get some releases, so I was holding back ordering for a little while, so I missed the last couple of drops. Finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me just order the damn... And it wasn't but a day after I decided to just order, although I missed the Paranoid. The Ramones, Road to Ruin, was announced the next day. So it's... I personally don't care about the numbering. The numbering means nothing to me, especially considering it's typically under the Obi. So unless you start pulling it apart, you don't really see your number anyway. So what the hell do I care? Come on, though. If they're the right records in shrink, they're worth $15. Those black, but they wouldn't have been in shrink because they're 50s records. The black label Capitol stuff is fantastic. You find clean... If you find like near mint black label Capitol Frank Sinatra's, those are worth every bit of $15. The warping is... You guys aren't the only one. Think of how many warped records you get and then think of what I go through. So on the website, I offer an ultrasonic record cleaning service for people. So for $8, I will visually inspect the record. If it's scratched, I replace it, go to the shelf, grab another one, open it up, take it out. And then if it's warped, I flatten it. So do the math on the amount of records you get versus how many come warped, and then think of what I must go through, not only with my own records, but the amount of records that I open that are warped is unbelievable. And I can flatten only 12 records a day, and I am just behind. It is just, it's been brutal. Not gonna lie. Yeah, the Record Store Day live streams are the best. They really are. It boggles my mind. The very first time I did it, and I got 800 people watching, I just thought to myself, why would 800 people watch this? Then, by the end of the live stream, I was so into it. After being at the store and being on camera for 11 hours, I went home and watched some of it because it was a blast. The stream was just a lot of fun. I will say, too, the amount of stuff I ordered this year is absolutely next level. Not quite Ferrari money as far as the Record Store Day quantities, but we're talking like a nice S-Class money. You know, an above average S-Class, like a really loaded S-Class. It's pretty crazy. Fingers crossed. But I really do think, and that's just me essentially betting on the list. You know, people say, well, what do you think? I'm not just spouting off like a random, hey, I think it's good. Like, I really think it's good. To where like I've actually bet and put money on a line. You know, not bet per se, but it is a bet. Because if I buy a bunch of stuff that's not going to sell, I'm going to lose a lot of money. I had, from the very first record store that I was ever involved in, before I really knew anything about it, figured out the ins and outs, what to order, how much to order, what my customers will take. I went a little crazy with the Sharknado soundtrack. Sharknado 4 maybe it was. I don't remember what it was. And that was kind of the running joke in the record store. I mean, I had it marked down to like $5, but people would walk up, oh, look, it's Sharknado. They would laugh, $5, and then they still wouldn't buy it. And that was kind of a running joke. You know, a reminder for, it took about 8 or 9 years to sell them. It was a reminder of how things could go terribly wrong if you don't do it properly. No, center holes, that's not fixable. I mean, it is, you can kind of re-drill the hole, then you got to center it on the record and put a weight on it to keep it from shifting. No, I just get a new record off the shelf and start over. You know, Sean, I've been saying that for a long time, and we're getting more and more every day. I mean, it's not a huge quantity, but compared to zero that you got 10 years ago, I mean, it's the Atlantic 75th anniversary that Analog Productions is doing has a lot of soul titles in there. We're getting some Rhino Hi-Fi titles. Now we're getting the new Rhino Reserves with that Eddie Hazel. Games, dames, and guitar things, something along those lines. That record just slaps. Highly recommend it. It's really, really good. And we're getting more and more. The Alan Toussaint was the other record part of the Rhino Reserve. I don't know if they have announced the next two Rhino Reserves, but I feel like you're going to get a lot more in the soul vein with that. Even with the, I don't know, I could see them doing them. I could see us getting some Rhino Hi-Fi R&B titles. I'm not a huge fan of the acrylic upgrade. I just would stick with the I think the metal sounds better. Acrylic has a different sound, and I'm not a big fan of it. I like Delrin. Delrin has a fantastic sound, you know, plastic adjacent, but I'm not a fan of acrylic. Yeah, you know, a lot of the Motown stuff wasn't extremely well recorded, but it still would benefit from a good reissue campaign. A lot of people don't realize this, but actually, Kevin Gray cut from the original master tape a box set of Motown. I think it was the Women in Motown. And then maybe he did like a box set of like the Men of Motown. And I think maybe it was the Women of Motown, or maybe both of them, subsequently got like standalone releases. It was years ago, and they're still out there. Like the Miracles, self-titled Miracles was on that. There was a couple of Supreme, I think there was a Supreme titles, a Temptations title. But if you look up, you know, if you search Kevin Gray Motown, you'll find he did a few releases, and they're pretty spectacular. And they're like tip-on jacket. They're the equivalent of like a tone poet without the gatefold. You know, real thick tip-on, stout and tip-on jacket. Really well done. Let's see. I have no clue. I imagine it's going to happen. Why it hasn't happened, I don't know. They did for Candio, they did a standalone pressing of it. So why didn't they do a standalone pressing, subsequent pressing for the self-titled? Yeah, sometime maybe just to build hype. You know, I have no clue. Is Taylor Swift record your best-selling record? I mean, for us being an audiophile store, it's typically an audiophile title that is the best-selling record. But as a whole, as far as take out the non-audiophile release stuff, talk about just like catalog titles, I probably as an artist, I sell the most Lana Del Rey and Taylor Swift. Lana Del Rey sells an immense amount of records on vinyl, and there's Born to Die, Ultraviolence, Norman Rockwell. Those records sell a lot. Like to when I do restocks, so typically a normal restock of an artist, not Taylor Swift, but like just a normal, if I'm ordering a restock of Fleetwood Mac's Mirage, or maybe not rumors, but maybe say Tango in the Night. Maybe I order 2, maybe 3 copies to keep in the store. 1, 2, 3. Most titles are going to be 1, 2, 3, but there's some titles that I order 10, 20, 30 of because they just sell so quick. Taylor Swift's one of those artists. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, all the Lana Del Rey catalog. They just sell like gangbusters, and it's what happens in the store versus online is significantly different. Like online is a whole different audience for me, customer base. It's a whole different. Like I sell virtually no hip hop records whatsoever online, but in the store, I just sell the hell out of that crap. Certain hip hop artists sell unbelievably well. Certain things like the Fugees, The Score, Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West sells like probably the best-selling hip-hop artist. Drake sells okay. Tyler, the Creator sells. I mean, that stuff sells unbelievable in store. Online, I sold some Kendrick Lamar's. The Kendrick Lamar was a pretty big release, especially after the Super Bowl appearance. But if I sell a copy of the Fugees or Lauryn Hill or any of that kind of stuff, NWA, for an online order, it's rare. Like, and I actually look at it and I'm like, look at that. So-and-so bought such and such, because it is that rare. But in store, like crazy. No, Thomas, that's going to be great. Super Freak, Mo5, 45 RPM. I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of them not doing a lot of, but it's changing. Mo5's doing it. Other labels are doing it. Rick James. Yeah. Actually, Mo5 announced 2 fantastic titles. I'm looking forward to Heart, Dreamboat Annie, and Rick James. What a killer title. I don't have a 0700. I've got a 301 at the store, actually, that I took in on trade. It's just sitting in the rafters. One of these days I'll do something with it. Yeah, definitely more R&B, more soul. But yeah, like I said, this was only a test stream. Maybe I'll answer a question or 2 more, and then I'm going to get out of here. This is technically my day off, but I'm going to get ready to make a video. I got plans. Oh yeah, New York Dolls. It's great. I mean, they're really. It's funny. You don't hear, oh, the audiophile labels just do the same crap over and over and over again. Like, and if somebody does say that, they're really just not paying attention, because just think of the quantity of audiophile labels that exist out there, from Analog Productions, Rhino Reserves, Tone Poet, Contemporary, Acoustic Sounds Verve series, the Contemporary series, the Rhino Hi-Fi. I mean, there is an absolute ton of stuff. Oh yeah, Mike points out the Jazz Strata East reissues. Yeah, I'll be getting them. The folks that I'm getting them from, though, have just been really, really slow getting them into the system. And yeah, what the hell the reason for that is. And I kept emailing. I'm like, hey, I want to get these Strata titles up. And you'll notice a couple of weeks back, I got all the Christian, because it's the same, what is it, Mac Avenue's doing it. I got all the Christian McBride stuff on because I was going through their label. I'm like, oh, let me order this. So I was loading up on the label, which was a lot of McBride titles, but it was in preparation for the Strata stuff. But I'm still waiting. We ship pretty much everywhere. And if you check the website, everything is fully inclusive. All the tax, shipping, customs, duties, everything that you might have on your order is handled on the Ingrooves website. Almost nobody talked about him passing away, and he was fantastic. One of the most iconic movies or moments in television history was when David did a scene in Miami Vice doing The King of Babylon. What a great show. Let me tell you about Miami Vice. If you haven't seen Miami Vice, what a killer show. Not only because it was just good 80s cop drama, as far-fetched as it was for them driving around in high-priced Ferraris, but they had to play the part of the drug kingpins, so it kind of worked. But the way they intertwined music in that show was amazing. And there was 2 scenes. Obviously, the Phil Collins In the Air Tonight scene is kind of iconic television, perfect blend of music and TV. But the party scene where David's on the boat, like they're on a yacht doing King of Babylon. You can look it up on YouTube. It's freaking great. It was really good. It was classical. It was classic, not classical. It was a classic. Yeah, I remember that scene's great. Watch it. You know, and he's on the boat dancing, private party in Miami, just everyone's doing blow on the show. It was just great. But that was, you know, and then he went into that. Shortly after that is when he did Buster Poindexter. And that was, you know, that was his big, truly, that was, unfortunately for him, that was for whatever. He'll be, not the New York Dolls, not the solo stuff. He's forever going to be known as Buster Poindexter, because I think that's definitely where he had the most success. It's doing good. I find now pre-orders are a little different than they were in the years past. Years past, everybody pre-ordered everything thinking everything was going to sell out. Now people realize they don't necessarily have to. If you want it right away, you get the pre-order in. But if you're not in a hurry, you don't have to pre-order a lot of stuff nowadays. This is a question, this is my #1 most asked question, so I'm glad somebody asked it. Once again, I don't know if there's a way to ever get people to stop asking this, but people cannot find sleeves to hold their Rhino hi-fis. I think Rhino Hi-Fi is using a company called Spark. I think it's a printer in Mexico. Don't hold me to that. I think it's a printer in Mexico. They do Stoughton quality. I mean, they make really high-end, high-quality jackets, but they're slightly bigger than a Stoughton jacket. I get asked 25 times a week, what the hell to use to put the Rhino Hi-Fis in. I use, see if I have one around here. And I'll show you how see if I can grab one. And I will show you specifically how I store it. Here we go. We have a Rhino Hi-Fi Coltrane Olay stored in a 50 micron resealable sleeve. I sell them on the website. They're not branded. I can't tell you a brand. But if you go on my website, theingroove.com, look up 50 micron, you will find these. 40 micron are a little thinner, but they're also not as big of a sleeve. And that gives me enough space not only for the jacket, but, as you can see, storing the record behind it. That's what you need. I don't have any other recommendation for you because most sleeves aren't big enough. So you need the 50 micron. But this is how I store all my records, and this just subsequently works. Jacket, record behind, perfect. So yeah. I'm sure there's other companies that make them. Vinyl Storage Solutions, not my personal favorite sleeve. It's like sleeve origami, and they're too thick for me. They're too thick, they're too much plastic, and I think it takes up too much shelf space. The Japanese have it right when it comes to plastic sleeves. You don't need really thick sleeves. They use thinner plastic, doesn't take up a ton of shelf space, but it's really high grade. So that's my go-to. I don't like the bulkiness of the plastic on the Vinyl Storage Solutions. I get people that come in and have me clean their records for them, and they already have them in the Vinyl Storage Solution sleeves. Too much plastic for me. But that's just I mean, I'm not saying their sleeves are gonna ruin your records or anything. That's a personal preference as far as me and what I like on my shelf. I need all the record space I can get, and I don't want to kill my record space storage by 20% by having too much in the way of plastic on the shelf. Make sense? Okay. 262 people watching here. We get up and going, and then I'm going to cancel the stream. But, like I said, this was more along the lines just to test the sound quality and the visual. I think this streaming platform is a significantly higher resolution platform than what I was using before. It costs more money, but I think sonically this is going to be, visually, this is going to be much better for Record Store Day. Yes, Micron's foreign currency, they complete with the ducats. Big rivalry there between the Microns and the ducats. Actually, the ducats are foreign currency, but yeah. Look at Rob peeking in right as I'm about to close. Sam Smith. Most sleeves are made at the same Chinese factory. Most people don't realize this, but most sleeves, not the Japanese sleeves, but the inner sleeves, the outer sleeves, it's like almost everything is coming from the same Chinese factory. A huge portion. Do more whatnots. Man, I'm on there every week. I mean, miniature whatnots. I do have a big... I'll end talking about that last whatnot. And I got to get the hell out of here. Got to do some shopping. I've been working out lately. I know, every day. Actually, I've already worked out a little bit today. I'm going to work out a little more. I feel like I got to work out. I started online dating, you know, just on a side note, non-record relating. And as I'm scrolling, it's like everybody's photo is of them at the gym. Gym, what do you like to do? Gym, what are you doing? Just work out. When I'm not working, I work out. And I'm like looking at my scroll. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get my ass on the treadmill. This isn't gonna work. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Anyways, whatnot. I was looking up the whatnot. We've got a big auction coming up. Sunday auction. Let's see when that is. I forget when it is. I'm going to look it up. Big Sunday whatnot coming up. Damn it. That's next Sunday. So it's going to be a busy week. So that means I need to shoot a video tomorrow showing you guys. Oh my God, no, I will never do that. PR nightmare. Good deal. PR nightmare. Don't say that, Wax. This is supposed to be my permanently dialed in sound quality ordeal. You know, this was supposed to be perfect. It's a culture. Yes, gym culture, Sam. So I'll shoot a video tomorrow talking about what's going on with the, it's going to be an all Japanese only stream. So far I have 97 things listed. I want to say when all is said and done, I will probably get up to about 130, 140. Put a treadmill in front of your Wilsons. You know what? My very first hi-fi, you laugh, you joke, but my very first hi-fi system, I actually had an elliptical in front of it. I had my elliptical in front of it and I was working out. I'm pretty stubborn and I bet my buddy, this was 10 years ago. We were both about 230 pounds at the time. And me and my buddy made a bet that we would, whoever got to the under 200 mark, would have to give the other one $500. I won the bet, by the way. He missed out by like 3 pounds. And he knew I was getting close, so he was like, he almost killed himself. He was doing like no eating and like steam showers or like steam saunas, that kind of thing to try to lose the last pound. Anyways, I won. And I was maintaining that weight really good until Cane's came around. Remember, Cane's chicken? That did me in. Anyways, I got to lose that weight back. But yeah, so I'll do a preview video. I'm going to film a preview video tomorrow for this Japanese auction. It's pretty good. I got a lot of stuff. You know, I'll kind of see my phone there. Oh, I'll kind of scroll. You know, if you click the link below, the whatnot, you can actually see, this is all the stuff that I've got listed so far. It's like 98 items. Genesis. There's jazz, a lot of great stuff. King Crimson, Japanese, Allman Brothers, Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. A lot of great stuff. I'll do a standalone video on that. For some reason, I listed 3 Led Zeppelin 4s. I think that's a glitch. I'll get that fixed. But what the hell is this? I will get that fixed. But I will also be doing a Record Store Day preview video. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. No, Ozempic. I did it the old-fashioned way. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Hi from Toronto. This is fantastic news. I'm not going to get somebody from Canada telling me how they're boycotting me anymore on my stream. I haven't had that in like 2 weeks. It's been good. Oh, let's see. Yeah, stickiness. Stickiness is... A lot of sleeves over the years have caused a lot of damage to a lot of records. And unfortunately, you don't really know until many years passed. No, Record Store Day conflicting with it again. It's just, if I'm going to do Den Bosch, and I might do it in... I might do the winter Den Bosch. I need another trip. I need another vacation. And going to another country and looking at records, it's paradise. It's fantastic. That's good to know. All right, guys. I'm going to take off. I'm actually working on a shootout video tonight. No spoilers, but I'm working on a shootout video tonight. I have a video I'm going to do tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of videos coming up this coming up week. It's getting prepped for Record Store Day. It's going to be busy. All right, guys. Until next time.